Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about what we are looking for to work on your business taxes. If you don't have QuickBooks or some sort of other accounting software application like Wage, Xero, there's a few others. So this would be like you're a new client and we haven't set up QuickBooks for you, or you didn't have a business bank account or something a past year, or our threshold to move somebody into appropriate accounting software is $80,000 in revenue. So if you're under that revenue threshold, how do you put together your income and expenses so that we can prepare a tax return for you? So I want to just go ahead and walk through those steps, what we're looking for. You can use different applications, but basically, we need you to download all your transactions um, into some sort of spreadsheet format and then categorize all your transactions between personal and business. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk through that and show you a couple of tricks that I do to help speed up this process. Let me go ahead and share screen here. Um, sharing one. Okay, so sharing screen here, minimize that. So this is my bank account. I've already logged in, make sure I wasn't going to show like any personal information or client information. But I am just in my transaction detail view, and I would say 99% of banks have this capability. There are a few that don't or limit this. If your bank does, you might need to contact customer service to see how you can get this information. But most banks offer this. Zions is a regional bank. I worked with very localized banks that have this capability all the way up to like Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Chase. They all have this capability too. It might look slightly different, but the buttons are all there somehow. So what we're going to do is you're going to search for your date range. Um, 1/1, we're doing this for 2023. Well, let's see here. I want to actually put my filters in. So filter by date range. So we're going to want to do that. No, not yesterday only. Where's this at? Sort by, okay. Filter by date range. Where is, okay, so this is what we want. Like I said, everybody's going to have the same function somehow. So I'm going to go all the way back to January 1st. So we take the stance that whatever year you started your business in, I'm sure there are expenses for your business, if not before that year, at least to January 1st of that year. Even if you like think you started your business in June, most people say, "Oh, I started my business in June," and a lot of people say that meaning that's when they made their first sell, that's when they got their first dollar in profit or whatever, right? But you're going to have expenses before that. So we at least want to go back to the very first day of the year to make sure we capture all expenses. Then you might have a few things even before that, but that we talk about that in the reimbursement sheet and a few other things. And then you're going to go, you're just going to do it through the full year. So our end date's going to be December 31st of 2023. We're going to apply. And so now we have this filter in there. We're going to see all the transactions for that year. And then somewhere on your bank screen, you're going to have a download button. Mine's right here. Mine's just this little cloud with a down arrow. Sometimes it says export transactions and whatever, right? Every bank's gonna be slightly different, but there's somewhere on there is a download feature or a link. Mine pops up with this to select file format. These are very typical formatting downloads that you will have. So we have it in PDF, CSV. I don't even know what OFX is, and QuickBooks and Quicken. Those are very typical. CSV is also known as comma delimited. It is for spreadsheet. So unless you actually have an XLS, which is Excel, you're probably going to download CSV, and then CSV can be uploaded into a number of different spreadsheets. So let's go ahead and download it as that. I'm going to download it here. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to actually download it. It's already done. It was only 245 kilobytes. I'm going to open this in Excel because that is what I use. This can be opened in Google Sheets and Numbers. I'm sure there's others. So Numbers would be for Mac or Apple computers. Google Sheets is cloud-based, but there's a lot of different spreadsheet systems out there, and they're all going to have about the same functionality. It's just going to be a slightly different face on how to do this. So what's going to happen is it's going to import it or open up in this kind of hodgepodge, messy state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these bigger so I can actually read what's going on. So we have our description, my account, the date of the transaction. I'm just going to scroll all the way to bottom, make sure I have a full year's worth of transactions. So we have January 3rd through December 29th. So that's probably correct. I don't need this top information, so I'm just going to delete that out. Then I'm going to make sure that my titles of my columns are something that I can actually use. So this export didn't actually give me the totals. That's fine. I am just looking for the actual transactions. So it looks, then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, Excel has this feature, like I said, I know Google Docs does, and I'm pretty sure Numbers does too. I'm going to go to data and I'm going to add filters. So then this gives me little drop down arrows so that I can filter. And the reason why this is important is because we have, in my bank account, we have almost 2,000 transactions that I have to go through. So by adding this filter feature, I can sort these by description A to Z, which is going to really help facilitate categorizing these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to sort A to Z. This will put everything together. That's similar. So I've got some transaction fees, ATM withdrawals, and then I've got Apple, all these different purchases, gas and scrub, which is a gas station. I'm going to go through all of these transactions. It looks like I'm just going to make sure there's nothing. Oh, I do have stuff in these. Oh, that's check number. I probably don't need check number. I'm just going to delete that column. Deposit slip, those are all blanks. I'm not even sure what this one is. Those look like memo. Those are all going to be blanks too. Credit and debits, those are where the amounts are. So I'm just going to delete those. I don't need them. And then I'm going to add a column called category. Let's see, that didn't put in a filter. Normally there's a filter there. So I'm going to take the filters out, put them back in so I have it. Okay. Then what I can do is these transaction fees. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to just categorize stuff, whether it was personal, business, and if business, what sort of business expense it was. Now this is my this isn't my personal account. This is my business account for Cyberspace CPA. So everything in here is technically business. I don't commingle or mix my expenses, just like I tell everyone else not to. So everything in here is business. However, I'm going to claim some things as personal, just so I can show you what I'm looking for. So let's pretend like these Target fees and ATM withdrawals and stuff are all personal. So I'm just going to title these as personal. Nice thing about Excel is as long as it starts with the same few letters, it's going to pre-populate for me. Another thing I can do is because I have sorted it by name and description, I can just drag this down for all of these things that look like they're probably personal. Then Apple, that's going to be office expenses, something like that. And so then I can go office expenses for all of these Apple. Then we've got Cal Ranch, that's a farm supply store. So I probably bought like office furniture or something there. They've got all sorts of stuff. It's kind of like a department store. So I'm just going to say office expenses for that too. I can take that all the way down. Those are probably mills for Casey. So let's do mills. Costco is going to be office. Kodo Packs, I don't even know what that is. We'll just pretend like that's personal. Another way, if you don't remember something, just Google it. Google the name of the store and that'll help you. That's going to be office. But this is what I'm looking for. So then we're going to have GoDaddy. So that's going to be advertising. I could just do A and I probably misspelled it, but I don't care. I'm just going to go through all 2,000 transactions and do this the whole way down. If this is your personal account, most of them are probably going to be personal. And you just need to categorize your business expenses like this. So this is what we're looking for, something like this. You send this to us, then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight everything, and we're going to do what's called a pivot table. So I only have, these 35 transactions categorized so far. So I'm going to select them. I'm going to insert what's called a pivot table. I'm going to use, let's just use a new sheet. I'm going to go okay. And then it's going to give me these pivot table fields. So what we did is we created the category. So those are my rows. And then I want my debits and credits, but I want the sum of them. And so then this allows us to very quickly categorize and sum up all of those expenses that you just categorized for us. And then we're able to pretty much do what we need to from there. So this is what we're looking for. I guess, there would be some revenue in here. So if we wanted to see revenue, I'm just going to do the credits. Let's do smallest to largest. So you can see these are all, we run into it. We use the payroll, or not the payroll, the payment module within QuickBooks to invoice everybody. So that's what all these are. These are the invoice, all these intuits are the invoices that we got deposited. So I just put for anything that says Intuit, I would do revenue. In a good way. And then what I could do is I can again sort by A to Z. Scroll down to Intuit. So there's a lot of these. And I could, there's different ways you could sort, but basically all these Intuits, what I could do is revenue for any of them that are deposits, and then there's fees. So there's different ways I could filter this to make it work. So let's say I want to make this work a little bit better. Let's do only, instead of select all, I'm only going to do blanks on the debits. That gives me only the actual revenue from Intuit. Now, because it's sorted A to Z, I'm only showing the blanks on debits. I can take this all the way down and just do a mass categorization of probably 200 line items or something right there. There are quite a few. And so that's a quick way to categorize a whole bunch of these at once, because they're all the exact same thing. And then I can go quickly, data, clear all my filters. It shows me 100% of everything still sorted A to Z. I could go back and sort it by date, oldest to newest or newest to oldest, if I wanted to put it back in chronological order. And so there's different ways that you can manipulate this and massage your data to be able to get it in a way to quickly categorize everything. Doing this, I can probably get through 2,000 transactions in about 30 minutes because I'm capable of sorting it that way. And again, I know Google does this. I know Numbers does this. It's going to look slightly different, but the function's still there. Then this is what you send to us. We run the pivot table. We're able to get the numbers quickly summarized for the taxes and how we want to do stuff. We're still going to review everything that you send us. We're going to review all the line item detail and make sure it does look correct, because that's what you're paying us to do, is to create a good audit defense file for you in the event of an audit. Okay, so the next question that a lot of people ask me is, well, what categories do I use? So when I get asked that question, What I do is I send you 36. This is an article I have saved. It's from NetSuite. They offer bookkeeping softwares too. I like this is a great article that just gives you 36 common categories for business: advertising, continuing education, bank fees, so this is a good list of that. You can just Google it. If I'll Here's the address: netsuite.com/portal, resources, articles, financial management, small business expense categories list. If you need to pause this video or type that in, whatever, right? But there it is. I'll put this in the comments too, so you can just link to it really fast. But here you go. Here's a list of all these great categories that you can use. Not all of them are applicable, and some of them might be missing. Now, there are 36 categories here. On the tax return, we're probably going to use about 10. So you might put dues and subscriptions down for, like, I don't know, magazine subscriptions or periodic articles that you get, or you have subscriptions for different websites that you use or stuff like that. We're going to just dump that into office supplies and expenses, because we're going to combine these 36 plus categories into about 10 for the tax return. Like we have telephone and utilities on the tax return, we put those together. Printing, that's going to go under advertising. There's another utility. So, there's just different things that you can break stuff up into. And all these categories do is they provide you with more information to be able to make decisions about finances on historical expenses. We combine them into 10 categories to file a tax return. So this is what I'm looking for when we say, hey, if you don't have QuickBooks, you don't have Wave, you don't have some sort of bookkeeping application that you're using to categorize, this is what we're looking for. But this is also why when I say, if you're making more than 80,000 a year, that's our threshold. You need to be in some sort of accounting application like QuickBooks, because 2,000 transactions, it's going to be much cleaner and nicer and what the IRS is looking for if you have it in an actual bookkeeping software. This is very messy, and it takes a lot of work at the end of the year to get this done. It's better to keep this going on a monthly basis with this volume of transactions. But this is what we're looking for. Hopefully this helps everybody when you're asking, Jason, how do you want the information? This is how I want your income and expenses if you don't have software, bookkeeping software. Okay, thank you. If you have any comments, please leave them. See you next week.